Alright guys, UFC 3110 is done and dusted, and in this video I'm gonna be giving you guys my matchups that I would make if I was the UFC matchmaker. So let's get into it. We're gonna start off with Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Marcos D Lima. I think it would be a good way to introduce Kennedy Nzechukwu into the top 15. I believe my Marcos is ranked number 13. I might be wrong, but I know it's around there in the rankings. And I think it'll be good to get Kennedy and Nzechukwu into the rankings, and after that he can continue to climb the rankings because, to be honest, there's not much going on in that heavyweight division. So I think a win over Marcos D Lima will get him a shot at a top 10, and then he can continue to climb the rankings. So that's who I would like to see Kennedy Nzechukwu face next. And the next fighter that we're going to be matching is Choi Doo-hoo. He put on a great performance against I've forgotten his name now. He put on a great performance though on the weekend. Good crisp boxing. So I think a good matchup for him would be Dan Ige or Edison Barboza. They're both in the top 15. So it'll be a good way to get him ranked in the top 15, fighting either one of those guys. I think stylistically though, Dooku matches up better against Dan Ige. Whereas with Edison, I feel like he'll have to worry about a lot of kicks. Even though in Edison's last performance, I didn't see him kicking much. If we get the true Edison Barboza, I think he does give uh, Troy Dooku a lot of problems. So I think Dan Ige would be better matched against Troy Dooku. Even though he would be better matched against Dan Ige, I still think it would be a good fight. Dan Ige is quite explosive, hits hard, so that would be a good matchup to see. And then, all right, next up we've got Brian Battle. I think his performance on the weekend was a bit mid, but I'm gonna go ahead and match him up against Neil Magny or Geoff Neal. I think either one, to be honest, will be a good matchup for him. Get him in the rankings. I can't remember. I don't think Neil's in the rankings anymore after losing to Carlos Pratas. I think he might be 15th, ranked 15th. I could be wrong, but I think either one of these guys would be a good test for him. Because they have fraud checked a few guys, Geoff Neal and Neil Magny. So I mean, it would be good. I'm sure. Is it Geoff Neal or Neil Magny? I can't remember which one of the two. But they actually hurt Shavkat when Shavkat was climbing the rankings. So I think that would be a good little matchup for Brian Battle. Getting battle tested. How ironic. His name is Battle. But yeah, getting battle tested, and then see where he's at from there, and then you can start giving him tougher opponents. Get him ranked. But yeah, that's who I would like to see Brian Battle face up against, either one of those two. Like I said, I wasn't too impressed with his performance on the weekend. So yeah, but we move on. We've got Alexander Volkov, and I think a good matchup for him would be Jalton Almeida. Um, Jalton Almeida's climbing the rankings. Obviously, a lot of people are saying Volkov got cheated on the weekend. Watching the fight, I did think Volkov won. I'm not gonna lie. But then after seeing the stats and whatnot, what are we going off, guys? Are we going off what we watched or what the stats? I know what we watched does. We have to take that into account. But yeah, man. But anyways, Charlton Almeida versus Volkov would be a good matchup. I think Volkov could probably get the win over him, whether that's a finish or decision. I don't see Charlton Almeida taking Volkov down and having his way and submitting him, So I'm gonna I'm gonna give it to I would give it to Volkov. I would lean towards Volkov in that fight. But it would be a good matchup, honestly. It would be a very good matchup. So that's who I would like to see next for Alexander Volkov. And then we're gonna go ahead and match up man like Bryce Mitchell with Aljamain Sterling. Listen, I think Aljamain Sterling does well against anybody in that division that can grapple or wrestle. You know, I think it's a bit disrespectful that we're giving Aljamain Bryce Mitchell, but I think that is the best possible matchup for him right now. I think if he gets a win over Bryce Mitchell, then you can give him a top five fighter again. But yeah, it's very. The problem is I don't see Aljamain becoming champion in that division. I think cool he could beat a Brian Ortega. He could probably beat an Arnold Allen, a Calvin Cater. Actually, no, he fought Calvin Cater already, yeah. So he can probably beat a lot of these guys. But the question is, if he gets to the title shot, I don't think he wants smoke with Ilya. I don't think most guys in that division want smoke with Ilya. So I don't know what Aljamain's actually going to have to do to get a title shot in this division. But he's already come out and said he's 35 and, he doesn't want to have to do too much to get get to the title shot. And to be honest, I don't think he would have to. It's just stylistically, some of the guys they could potentially put his eyes out, his lights out, especially Ilya. But yeah, Bryce Mitchell versus Aljamain Sterling, I think would be a good matchup. Um, I think Aljamain would mix in the striking and the ground and the grappling, but I would lean more towards Aljamain in that fight. I think Bryce would lose it, but yeah, shouts out to Bryce for KOing that fucking cuck, Con Gracie, on the weekend. And it's sad that I'm calling him a cuck, but the guy's just got no striking. But yeah, that's a topic for another video. But yeah, Bryce Mitchell versus Aljamain Sterling is a matchup I would like to see. Um, and then we're gonna go ahead and match up Dominic Reyes. I'm gonna be honest, guys. The only reason why I put Johnny Walker here is because I don't know how his next fight is gonna go. Even though I think he is probably going to lose, I had to include him because if if he does win, I mean that would a good matchup for be a good matchup for Dominic Reyes. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see what's his face, Johnny Walker winning his next fight. If I'm completely honest, so yeah. But another guy that could be an interesting matchup for Dominic Reyes is Volkan Ozdemir. I think that would be a good little matchup. So yeah, if Johnny Walker does get the win in his next fight, then match him up with Dominic Reyes. But I don't think Johnny Walker will. And if not, then just give him Volkan Ozdemir. I think stylistically, Ozdemir and Reyes would be a good fight. And yeah, that's who I would match up against Dominic Reyes. All right, and next up, the next bit of matchmaking we're gonna be doing is Mozart Well, I don't know how to say your fucking name, bro. I'm gonna keep it real. Mozart, however you say your last name, Evlev, I beg, Anukia. But anyway, I would match Mosbar with either Yair Rodriguez or Brian Ortega. To be honest, he probably beats both of them. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think. I think with Yair, he's not really gonna take risks standing up because I feel like Yair has a very high chance of cleaning them out if he does stand up and trade. I feel like Mozart will probably he probably will exchange with him, but he'll be smart enough to mix in the takedowns to kind of neutralize Yair's striking. But it would be an interesting matchup, and yeah, because to be honest, Ilya is gonna fight Volk next, I reckon. So if he is, Mozart should fight either Yair or Brian in the meantime, and then maybe Mozart gets the title shot, even though I think Ilya sleeps him. But yeah, I think Mozart does well against Yair and Brian Ortega, to be fair. The only thing is with Brian Ortega is that if he does get taken out, he can threaten submissions, could potentially get a sub against Mozart. But to be honest, I think Mozart's wrestling is very good. I'm not even gonna lie. After seeing him against Aljamain Sterling, the wrestling exchanges were good. So yeah, that's who I would like to see Mozart fight next. One of those two, either Yair Rodriguez or Brian Ortega. Then in the flyweight division, we've got obviously Kai Asakura lost on the weekend to Pantoja. Shouts out to Pantoja because I wasn't the biggest big fan before, but I'm a fan now. And I think Kai Asakura should fight Steve Erceg. I think that fight there is a very good matchup stylistically. I think it would be fireworks. I think we would see a lot of good striking in that fight. I think I I think I'd lean more towards Kai Asakura from what I've seen of him, but then again, like Pantoja did say, there is levels to the UFC. I can't lie. The levels at the UFC are levels above every other organization. So, but that would be a good matchup. We would see a lot of good striking. So I think it would be very entertaining for the fans. Who wins that one? I don't know, but it would be a very interesting matchup. And then, but yeah, that's who I think Kai Asakura should fight next. And we're gonna move on to the welterweight division. Obviously, Ian Gary lost on the weekend. I think he should fight Jack Madalena. I'm not gonna lie, it'll be a very good fight. I think Ian has more tools in his arsenal when it comes to the striking. I mean, Jack's a very good boxer, but I actually think Ian is the more well-rounded striker. But it would still be an interesting matchup. And then obviously we've got Colby Covington versus Jaquan Buckley coming up in a couple of days. So Ian could potentially face the winner of that, which I don't think is going to be Colby. But either way, he could face the winner of that fight, and that will just make his stock rise higher. I'm not sure if Jack is. I think Jack Madalena might actually be ranked higher than Ian, so maybe he should fight Jack. I mean, if Jaquan beats Colby on the weekend, though, Jaquan rises in the rankings. So Jack or Jaquan could be a very good fight for Ian. Personally, I think the Ian and Jaquan fight would be a bit more interesting and explosive and more fun to watch for the fans. But I wouldn't be upset with Ian fighting Jack or Jaquan. Ain't that funny? Both J's at the start of their name. But listen, as much as I'm not the biggest fan of Ian's stock has risen since the weekend. He put on a good performance against Shavkat. So nothing but respect for Ian. He's still a cuck though. But yeah, I think he's got two interesting matchups Um, I mean, or he could potentially fight Kamaru, but I don't think he beats Kamaru. Even with the knee problems Kamaru has, I don't think he beats Kamaru, but I could be wrong. But yeah, Jack or Jaquan, I think, would be the best possible matchups for Ian. But like I said, I think the Jaquan fight. Actually, you know what? The Jack fight could be Jack and Ian could be made for fire. Could be fireworks, but I think the Jaquan fight would be a lot more interesting. But anyways, um, next we have Alexander Pantoja. Gotta put respect on this man's name, even though I wasn't a big fan before. I was calling him human backpack before, but at least this time he got the fucking submission. So I gotta give respect to the man where it's due. And I think the only possible matchup for him is Kai Kara France. Honestly, listen, I ain't gonna lie. Pantoja is fucking cleaning out that division still. I can't even lie. Like, he's actually doing his thing. And at this point, there's not really anybody left for him to fight. He's beaten Moreno, I think it's 3 times now, or it might be two. I'm sure it's three though. He's beaten um Rovial. He's beaten I can't remember all the names, but he's beaten quite a lot of guys, man. So yeah, it's like who's left for him in the division, and he's beat Rovial twice, I believe. So yeah, I don't really know what's left for him in that division. Obviously, I know he called out Demetrius Johnson, but Demetrius Johnson is not going to come out of retirement to fight Alexander Pantoja. Even if he wanted to, I wouldn't want to see DJ come out. I think DJ should just enjoy retirement. So I think, yeah, Alexandra has beat Manel Cape. He's beat Rovial. He's beat Moreno. He's beat a lot of guys, man. So yeah, I think the only matchup that actually makes sense is Kai Kara France. And I think out of everybody that Pantoja has fought so far, I think Kai has the biggest chance of KOing him, catching him with that overhand right. And it would be a good fight. I'm not gonna lie. I do think it would be a good, very, very good fight. I think it would be fun for the fans to watch. So yeah, that's who I would match Pantoja against next. And before we get into the last two matchups, I would make. Actually, I forgot about one. And before I mention that, let's talk about Chris Weidman. I think Chris Weidman should call it a day now. It's sad. I'm not going to speak about it too much, but his fight on the weekend, he just looked slow, flat footed, just didn't look like he could get into his rhythm. And it seems as if Father Time has caught up with him, if I'm completely honest. And I'm not being funny, the injury he has come back from is a very serious injury. And no one ever comes back the same. So yeah, I think retirement is the right thing for Chris Weidman. And how can I forget about Vincent Luque? I think Vincent Luque should fight Jorge Masvidal. Obviously, Masvidal wants to come back, and I don't think he comes back for anyone that's out of the top 10 in terms of rankings. So that's an interesting fight. I think Vincent Luque could potentially get the W over Jorge Masvidal. I don't really rate Masvidal. I think he's fallen off. I don't even think he was ever that special of a fighter as people made out. But yeah, I don't think he comes back for anyone that's ranked outside of the top 10. So that's who I think the UFC should match him up with. I'm not going to spend too much talking about Jorge. But yeah, let's go to the welterweight division where we have Shavkat and Bilal. I would make this fight. Obviously, this fight was already scheduled before the Ian Gary and Shavkat fight. So it only makes sense to give Shavkat the title shot again. I'm not going to lie, after what I saw on the weekend with Shavkat and Ian, I think Bilal could potentially have his way with Shavkat. Although people are saying that Shavkat came in with a MCL tear, and I know that's a serious injury which can hinder your movement a lot. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But if we're basing, if I'm basing my prediction on the last performance I've seen from both guys, I think Bilal takes the W. I'm gonna be honest, and I'm not. I don't even like Bilal. I'm a big Shabkat fan, but that's just me. It will be a good fight, but I think the pace of Bilal may may just edge it for him. But yeah, that's the match. That is the only matchup that needs to be made for either guy. So that's who I want to see either guy fight next. And then we move on. The last matchup is in the heavyweight division, and obviously Cyril Gane got a controversial win on the weekend. Even though a lot of people are saying he didn't win, he still got the W. So we're gonna have to play matchmaker, and I would say this: if Tom and Jones are actually gonna fucking fight, then I would match Cyril against Sergey Pavlovich. That's what I would do. I think it would be a good fight. I think Sergey could do very well against Cyril Gane, and I think Cyril could do very well against Sergey. So, if Tom and John are not fighting, then give Cyril the title shot. As much as I don't think that's what should be done, fuck it. If Tom and John are not fighting, I repeat, give Cyril to Tom. That is the only matchup to make. If that fight's not happening, that's what I think. But those are the fights I'd make in the heavyweight division after UFC 310. Hopefully we get the Tom and John. If we don't, give Tom to Cyril. I mean, give Cyril to Tom. And if the John and Tom is going to happen, give Cyril Sergey Pavlovich. But that's my matchmaking, guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video. This is my first time doing a video like this. If you would like me to do more videos like this, then leave a comment below, like and subscribe. And it's Big Yems. I'm out.